right, so just the kind of the first question, we'll just kind of go one by one. I know you guys are a little bit in a hurry, so I'll just get right to it if that's all right. So after last spring, do you feel your child and family is better prepared for distance learning or hybrid model of instructions? And what are you going to do differently than you guys did when we guys first got started?
I think we're absolutely better prepared because we're more familiar with the technology. We have Chromebooks. We have been able to meet with our teachers individually and discuss what their plans are, what the daily schedule looks like. It's more proactive than reactive. What we're doing differently this time is because we're not in quarantine. We actually have worked with a group of parents who are also choosing DLI, and we are going to have some interaction time set with those families every week.
And I'll say that honestly, when we had to transition kind of on the fly in the spring, I thought that the school district did as good of a job as they could, all things considered. So, I mean, it is a little bit different, but overall, I thought the transition was fairly smooth.
And what about you, Andy?
Our kids have been pretty good about learning to find their own space in the house to learn on their computers, and they're good about waking up early and doing their own thing, which is good. They do need a little bit of direction. Towards the end, it was a little bit more difficult, the end of the school year, because they got tired of staring at the computer. And thank goodness they got it done quick. They were usually all done before lunch, which was good. And I think towards the end, we did have a little bit better of an idea of exactly what the teachers were expecting. So we do have a better idea of what to do over the next few months as we transition back into this online learning.
Absolutely. You know, I got to say this. How do you guys feel? I don't know if your guys' school did this, but did you guys have to pay for your supplies? You just came in with a $20 to $30 range, or did you have to go out there and get your supplies?
We had most of the supplies that we needed, and really the school provided everything that we needed.
Yeah, they've provided us with books and Chromebooks and anything that we've needed outside of what we would normally just have around the house.
Did you guys have any concerns about students returning to the classroom, whether it's the hybrid or full-time, just with coronavirus still being around and still being an issue here in Montana?
We did and do, and that's why we're doing the DLI track, because we are concerned about infections, and we have grandparents and folks that we want to protect, but really as far from the schooling goes, it's the disruption that would happen that we're trying to mitigate against, that would come from, impromptu school closures, quarantining and after that. And we felt that with staying home and going the DLI route, that we would be able to have more control of our day-to-day lives, and there wouldn't be any unforeseen disruptions.
Absolutely. Well, I got to ask you this, Andy, and you can both answer this, but I don't want to leave you out. Do you have any hesitations about the upcoming school year?
I don't. I share the concern about the possibility of disruptions, but I am sending my kids back to school with the hope that they eventually go 5 days a week. I've done plenty of research on coronavirus and working in the hospital. I've read all sorts of research and data about it, which continues to change on a daily basis, but children are so incredibly unlikely to spread it amongst themselves that I have almost no concern about my kids going back to school. And with the knowledge that all these children have now about the need to wear their masks and wash their hands and social distance, even when they're around other kids, I'm not concerned at all. And I especially know that if one of my kids does get sick, I know how to take care of it. And I know here in Helena, we've got St. Peter's Hospital, who is very well prepared to handle any sick people that come in.
Absolutely, Andy. I'm going to definitely keep you on my list in case I get sick, for sure. Well, when it came to your children first coming home, let's take it back to March, April, and they were told they can't go back to school, and they had that conversation of coronavirus. How did you personally, as a family, talk about the coronavirus? And did you feel that your children had a good grasp of what was happening in the world and what was happening right here in our neighborhood?
Well, I think, to Andy's point, what he just mentioned is it evolves daily. And we didn't really understand what we were dealing with back in March. And I think it was a little bit scarier, right? Like we didn't understand how much masking would help and how much just the hand washing thing that would help. So I think it was just a little bit more concerning, and we all did our quarantine for 14 days, but we were also very lucky to have a lot of neighborhood kids that after we finished our quarantine, we were able to, play with them and discuss with them and let the kids discuss amongst themselves what it looks like to social distance and what it means to wear a mask. So they've had a lot of support just from friends, not only just us telling them what to do, which I think parents will tend to do a lot. We'll just tell them what's safe, that they could have a conversation amongst their peers and start to understand it as much as we did as we learned every day how it changed.
And then Andy?
I'm not gonna lie, from my perspective, my children really didn't change that much because they already understood illnesses and viruses and people with comorbid conditions who are high risk. So it was just a matter of reminding them, hey, don't forget, wash your hands. If you're around someone that's coughing or sneezing, kind of stay away. And they already knew that. So the funny thing is that the way that the community has changed over the past 6 months, 8 months, hasn't been too different from what we've been told from the very beginning when we were in kindergarten. Don't pick your nose, wash your hands, social distance away from people who are sick. And if you're sick, stay home. So it's kind of nice for my children because we have been keeping our distance from people. And as a family, we've actually grown closer together, which has been incredibly nice. But we're all still healthy, knock on wood, and we intend to continue to do so, even with the kids going back to school.
All right, I'm gonna have one last question because I know we're on a little bit of a time limit. How do you feel that the school district communicated with you at home and communicated with you all throughout this whole process? How do you feel that was?
I felt they did a great job. We had 2 teachers for our kids that they were highly engaged. There was never more than half an hour of delay if there was any questions that we had. They were really attentive. We got emails from them at ungodly hours, and
If we requested them.
well, no, I mean, when she would, mail out things, I had nothing but respect and admiration and gratitude for what they did.
We had fantastic teachers, and we have an amazing principal, and they seemed so prepared. Even though there was a lot of panic in the air, they had poise. They were really, really helpful and supportive of us as parents. We felt very lucky throughout the entire process.
Yeah, overall, it was like Andy said. We've grown closer as a family, just by virtue, we're stuck together, and plus we really lucked out at our kids' age. I couldn't imagine having a moody teenager or something like that. I mean, they're 7 and 9, and they still like us or pretend to like us. So overall, it was a surprisingly smooth transition.
All right. Andy, I'll let you go ahead. And then if you guys have any other last comments or questions that you don't feel like I asked that you feel are really important when it comes to how you feel as parents and students returning back to the classroom.
Well, in reference to moody teenagers, I don't think I told you my kids' ages. I've got 4 of them, ages 10, 12, 14, and 16. We've got 2 in high school this year, 1 in middle school, and a 5th grader at 4 Georgians. And so moody teenagers, yes, but my kids did really good. The social distancing has been really good, but they've all been able to stay in contact with their friends a bit. As far as the school district, I kind of cheated because my wife is a 2nd grade teacher at 4 Georgians. So working at the hospital, having a wife as a teacher, I'm seeing all aspects of coronavirus and how it's disrupting the community. And the school district is doing an amazing job with what they can on the fly. And their ideas change on a very regular basis, just like the knowledge of coronavirus changes. And they're flying by the seat of their pants. And all of the teachers that my kids have, which is an incredible amount with the different schools we go to, they've all been very understanding and kind to my children and help them get the material that they could possibly get under the certain circumstances.
Great. Is there anything else you feel like I haven't asked that you think is really important when it comes to this subject?
There needs to be some other parents that are not from 4Gs. Kidding, Andy.
No, what I will say too is, for us, we have a level of privilege that we get to keep our kids home in DLI, and we acknowledge that not all parents are in this situation. He is a state worker that works from home. I have always worked remotely. I have an incredibly flexible schedule that allows me, even before coronavirus, I keep the kids home in the summer, and I continue to work because my work provides me that flexibility. And we have a grandparent in town that also helps us. So we are kind of in the perfect situation to keep our children home with DLI, and acknowledge that that's not a perfect situation for myriad reasons for many other parents.
Well, what do you say? Just last question, because I know we are almost running out of time here. What do you say to maybe a single mom, or maybe two parents that are working class that have to work maybe 2 part-time jobs just to make ends meet? How would you, if you were going to put yourself in their position, how would you face those challenges?
Good luck.
No, you have to do what you have to do, right? Like, you have to find your support system if you can get one. You have to, if we can stay out of the school and they can put their kids into the school, and that's one more spot where it's easier to social distance. I mean, I think that's good. And I'm so thankful that the schools are open for those parents. The administration or the admins of the school are doing a great job making sure that free and reduced lunches are still coming to those kids. And the logistics of that is amazing. And they're still making sure that we're caring for kids that need it. So I can say nothing more than, our school districts are doing a really good job making sure that all parents are considered, especially when they're not in a similar situation to us.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine having to go to a job, a working class job. We honestly know some people whose lives have been really disrupted, and is there going to be a gap in kids? I believe it. We're going to be feeling the repercussions of this in generations from now. There are a lot of people who aren't as lucky as us.
Yep.
I agree 100% that there is going to be a significant gap with the education. I'm lucky because my wife is a teacher, and so she's doing an amazing job helping teach my own kids. But on the flip side, she's also teaching other kids and cannot be here when my kids are at home. And I do have shift work, which is good. So I do work nights and evenings and days. And so I will be home at times when there are a lot of other people who can't be home with their children. And these single parents and these working class parents, they're in a world of hurt. And I actually see it in the emergency room with the change in the mental health of Helena declining with this process that we're going through. And the county health is doing the best that they can, and the school administration is doing the best that they can. But there are places that are faltering, and there's no way to fix it besides getting rid of coronavirus.
Absolutely. Well, thank you both, or all three of you. I really appreciate it.